Guys, welcome to the show. Kellan, Carson Johnson. Obviously, I know this one's going to be a little bit different for us. We got three guys, so the dynamics kind of change up a little bit, but I think it's going to be pretty fun because, you guys being brothers, had a great year last year rodeo, and it's going to be kind of fun to kind of dive into you guys, perspective on it. And thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
So the first question I got is, as you kind of get out there and really start competing, obviously your guys' dad, world champion, right? And so you've kind of got to live that and see what that was like to have him rodeo for a living and do all that. So, as you get competing, what was one of the things that really jumps out to you that like you kind of got to learn, but you didn't really know how valuable it would be till it like you got to start applying it? Like it was just something more or less that was just there that you got to see him do. Kellan, if you want to start with that one.
Man, what I got to see is just like the determination that you don't really see, like if you're just a kid that you don't have a dad doing it, you know what I mean? And then just to be there for his wins, you know what I mean? At the time when he needed to, when he really needed to win, when he won, when he made the finals the first time, it was a huge deal. I remember that being huge, and that was super exciting to see success in a family and know that you can do it and stuff like that. I think that was probably, I didn't really notice it at the time because I thought it'd be a little easier. You think when you're 18 you can make the finals, and then you see your dad do it and you go, no, I can make the finals. I should make the finals now. I should make the finals. And then once you go out there and do it, I think you just kind of look back and go, man, he was a warrior for sure to rodeo that long and not make it till he's 35 for the first time. Takes a lot of determination for sure.
Yeah, that's a good point. So when you do get a look at those, like it's not like this big shock as far as how hard it is, and you get to see a guy that's a warrior. I like that. So Carson, what about you? What was you're obviously a healer, so having a dad that's made the finals, won the world,
right?
What was one of those that like, man, that you that's really helped you out to you just got to watch him do and how he went about it?
Right. I would go with him a lot in the summers to watch him rodeo and heel, and he was the guy that taught me how to heel about everything, and he liked to throw fast, and what you realize is he was throwing fast, but he also caught a lot of steers. So the biggest thing was, like when I started rodeoing, was he would heel him fast, and then he would wake up the very next day and heel the steer just as fast. And then once I got out there, I realized day in and day out, you got to go out there and heel them fast and catch a lot of steers. And it's definitely a marathon. You're not going to catch them all, but you got to catch most of the bad ones and all of the good ones. And you don't realize that when I was a young kid watching him. I just thought, shoot, he caught all the time, and if he missed, shoot, he probably wasn't going anyway. Then you realize once you get out there, he when you do mess up for some money, it burns. It burns, and to watch him battle it out and keep fighting and go through the highs and lows, you learn how to appreciate the wins and not let the losses get too low and stuff.
Absolutely. The other thing that's kind of interesting is you've got to develop your own style, right? And so you get a take from a guy that, he was throwing fast before guys were really throwing fast. Like he's kind of one of the first group of healers that really healed fast, I thought, at least from when I got to watch him rope. But then things change, and we were kind of talking about this a little bit, like steers are different, they're built different, everything changes. So how do you try to manage that as far as like becoming your own kind of healer, and then kind of stepping out from like things that he might do or like, and then things that you think you need to apply to that work now in today's roping?
Right. He was the foundation of my healing. And then when I've changed my healing, I don't heal exactly like my dad, but the foundation is kind of how we go about it. He was a spot thrower. When he got to a spot, he would try to set down a trap. The steer was irrelevant to him. When he got to a spot, he would throw his rope, and which was usually as the steer was switching legal is when he would start his delivery. And I've changed it. I want to throw fast. I want to heel fast, but also want to catch everything he turns. I want to catch every steer. And my dad, he lived by it. He's going to throw fast and he's going to catch quite a many, but he might miss some too. And it just happens that way. And he lived and died by it.
Right. So, Kellan, going to this, like, you guys had a pretty good year last year, right? Obviously, you guys went on a run and dang near made it to the finals, right? So, as you guys kind of wind the year down and this new year has started, what's kind of the dynamics as far as, do you guys talk about this, or does what goes into it? Like, hey, we're really close. We want to take that next step. What goes into this, or what do you guys start going to as the new year started throughout this winter?
Yeah, like at the end of the year last year, I felt like there were a lot of steers that I let go that cost us making the national finals. And, I took that to heart and finding a different understanding on why that happened or what I could have done different to change the outcome of the year. Because you rodeo all year long from January to September with everybody having the same goal in mind. And then there's 30 guys that have a chance when September hits and then it doesn't work out. And 15 guys are going to the finals to make their money back that they spent all year long. And then the other guys are just going home, hoping for a new start next year. And I felt like what we changed at the end of the year is we got away from our run. And why I say that it is my fault, because I'm the header. I set up the runs, and so if I'm getting reckless or out of hand or making his job harder to heel, I'm dictating on what our run's going to be. So we came back after not making it, and I think the best thing that we're lucky enough to have is my dad. Like, he didn't give us the whole, man, you almost made the finals, like, how cool. I mean, he has zero remorse for guys, you know what I mean? Like, so he don't look at it and go, man, you almost made it, like, hang your hat. I mean, be cool about it. Like, dude, you guys are some of the best in the world. Nothing like that. Like, he never gave us a compliment. He told us good job and way to stick it out and way not to give in. But what he told us was, now you know. Now you've been to every rodeo. You know what it's like to go to these rodeos. You don't have to look up the fairgrounds. You know where the fairgrounds are at. You know how this rodeo ropes. And for him to tell us that, I think it gave me a new outlook on every steer counts. Like, a lot of people say, well, what about if you catch that, or if I get out of the barrier at Mona to win 3,000 and it gets him, I think we had to win maybe $600 more bucks and he's in, and what about that steer? Well, what about the steer that I missed in January to win Denver, or, to do good at San Antonio, or any of them steers? Every steer matters. It's not just the ones at the late of the year. So when we came home starting the new year, I felt like our run changed a bunch to every steer counts. We will react to every steer. There's no game plan involved. It's just, this is what we'd like to do. This is the run that we picture. But if it doesn't work, you catch the steer. The header catches the steer, turns a lot of steers to give your hero the best chance you can to win money. So it'll be exciting to see how the year turns out this year.
When did you start, like, learning about accountability? Because that's the first thing you say to me is, like, it's my fault, I messed up, I got us out of the run. And how do you maintain, like, the accountability of, like, this is what went wrong that I can control, and then between balancing that and, like, just being too hard on yourself or not addressing things that maybe do need to get addressed?
Yeah, like, I'm being realistic. I was taught at a young age, be realistic. I'm not built to be a basketball player, so I'm big enough to be a football player, but, not athletic enough to be a football player, things like that. Like, just being realistic with yourself and having an understanding. So, like, I can look at things and go, I didn't make the national finals. Yes, I'm totally aware that it's not just my fault. I understand that. I can look at Carson and say it's not just my fault, but I can put into the accountability of myself to know what I did wrong. And if you can fix what you're doing wrong, then it's up to him to do his job as well to figure out what he was doing wrong And then there's no blame game. You know, like I can blame Carson way more than Caleb Driggers can bash on Junior because we're brothers. You know what I mean? So a brother relationship's way different than a partner.
Right.
Because we live in the same house. We travel the same rodeos together. You know what I mean? We're with each other. So, I mean, there's tension there. So accountability is what keeps our partnership working to where I can go, hey, I missed the start. That's not your fault. Or I hit that steer too hard. That's why you slipped a leg. Or, hey, I faced too early. That's why you lost the steer. Or, hey, dude, I've missed 3 in a row. I need to get my stuff figured out so we can get back to our run. I mean, accountability is what you have inside, and being respectful to your partner and brother, and just being able to hold yourself and respect yourself, to be honest with yourself at all times is, I feel like, what can keep you from being the next level roper if you're always blaming on somebody. And I'm bad about that. Like, I know for a fact that I've blamed a lot of things on a partner or on a run and think the steer's going too far right or the steer's coming too far left. And so for me to understand that, I feel like I have a better understanding on what I can do different, and to not put all the weight on my healer to say, hey, you're not doing this right or you're not doing that right, to just do my job and catch the steer for what he's worth, and understand why I'm missing or catching or anything like that.
Right. Carson, what about you as far as, like, how do you manage that between being accountable and then balancing, being in such a close relationship where I think it's probably easy to cross lines,
No, it is. I mean, you got to hold yourself accountable, and his job's to turn the steer. Every steer he turns, I got to heel. And I take that on personally. If he turns a steer and I miss him, I'm not a huge guy on handles. Yes, I have a preference, but no matter what the steer does, it's my job to heal him. So, like, I'm hard on myself and I hold myself accountable to that. But, I mean, there's times that your partner might do something wrong, face a little earlier, give the steer's head back or something like that, and you do lose a leg. But to keep the partnership and everything, you say, hey, my bad, that's on me, and I messed up, and both of you will know. You don't got to say, man, I wish you didn't do this. Both of you know what happened, but as long as you don't say, to keep the partnership good and to keep everything like mellow, you don't ever blame it on somebody else. Yes, deep down inside, I might know, man, he turned the steer's head loose, but it's to hold yourself accountable and to tell him, man, it's my bad. It just keeps everything good. And then, but I do hold myself accountable to the healing. Once the steer turns and hits legal, then it's my job to heal him and as fast as I can. And then, so I guess I do hold myself accountable, but I know when you'll be smart enough to know maybe that wasn't 100% my fault, but there was a chance, there was a way I could have kept that steer, caught that steer. So that's the way I think about it.
Right. That's probably one of the coolest things about roping is there's pretty much a loop for every steer.
Right.
You can probably get in a position to catch just about every steer, What about that though? Like, as things kind of wind down for the year, and there might be things that, like, you guys see that maybe you want to, like, mistakes that were made, right? And then you want to correct them for the next year. Is that something that you try to do and have that conversation, or is it just something like, hey, I'm just going to continue to focus on my job, or what do you try to do with that? Like,
right, when you go year to year, like last year was the best year we've had yet, but it's not the main goal. Our main goal is to make the finals, so we're not going to sit back and just, man, I hope we make top 20 again. We came into this year where we've changed some stuff to bump up and make the finals this year. We've worked on our roping personally, different things, and change our run a little bit to catch more steers, clock faster, stuff like that. What horses we're going to ride at different setups now. So to keep it like that and to rodeo all year and finally figure that out, what you need to do, it helps, I believe.
Right. And that's kind of the deal, right? Once you guys, like, you get to this highest level and you're like, you're putting yourself in a spot where you guys are around Caleb and Junior a lot. Is that the team that you guys kind of stay? You can stay at Caleb's place, correct?
Right. All winter, that's where we've been, is over there. It's wild.
What makes it so different about Caleb and how he goes about it, you think?
His mindset, what he believes and how he practices. I mean, he ropes realistic. What he wants is his horses working, but he also ropes for himself. What he's going to do at Houston tonight is going to be the same thing he practiced in the practice pen. When he was going to the American, he set up the arena, the start, everything just like the American to give himself the best chance to win. So his practices are realistic. His mindset and how he goes about stuff is what I believe puts him ahead of the game. And it's wore off on both of us, and it's helped us a lot.
Right. So, Kellan, I remember this. Caleb, I know he has ruined my heading a couple of times because I'll get watching this guy and I'll be like, man, I suck. Like, I got to do this. Like, I remember the one summer that the ERA was the deal, and he didn't really get a start till maybe Reno, and he turned so many steers so fast, and it was crazy. And I kept thinking, man, I've got to throw faster. And I start pressing more and more, and I got to where I wrote pretty poor after a few weeks of that. And when you see a header that has game like that, and that you want to take little pieces and add them to your what they do and add them to your roping, but how do you try to balance that between he's got a different swing and a little different style than everyone else, and we all have our own deals. So how have you tried to be around a guy like that and add to your roping, but not let it break yourself down as well?
Man, the way I look at Caleb is, I mean, you just don't. The way he ropes and the way he is, I mean, they're not like that. I mean, we haven't seen a header like that. I mean, a guy that could win the BFI and then go to the national finals, and he's 3-3. I mean, he tied the arena record. I mean, he's unreal, and no one will ever take that away from him, no matter one gold buckle or 10. I mean, he's the best header we've seen in a long time. I mean, he's very, very good, and what I like about Caleb is he's very realistic. Like Carson said, what I take from him is his horsemanship and how he rides, and definitely how he handles steers.
Yeah.
He can throw. He's one of the best reachers in the world and can set a steer up to be healed on the first jump every time. And he rides his horses aggressive. He's very good about them scoring good. He don't break the barrier very much. I mean, he does, but not very much. And you take things like that away. And me and him have talked. We've talked a lot, and I've told him, I don't head like you. I wouldn't train to head like you. My job is to ride fast horses, and be sharp with my rope and be real snappy with things. So while you're reaching, my run can go farther, but we're still fast. Like his run at Bremerton, Washington, they drew the worst steer and was 4-4. I'm telling you, it was unreal. I mean, probably a little luck went into it. We laugh about it, but I mean, it was insane. It was a heck of a run. And then we took a good steer and made our run and was 4-4. So we split second and third. So it's the point of not getting lost on what you're doing, keeping the mental mindset of you can only do what you know you are capable of doing. That's what I said about being a realist. Shaq didn't shoot threes because he was just bigger than everybody and no one could block his shot. He went down there in the post and dominated because that's what he's good at. That's what he can make a career out of. Turtle Powell, that's what I always go to. He ain't no reacher, but I mean, he could ride his horses. He had the best horse, top 3 head horses ever. And Driggers don't need the top head horses. He's so good with his rope. So when I go to him about questions, the roping's kind of out of the question. It's not, well, you could throw right there. It's you need to score better. You need to ride your horse better. You need to set your steers up more controllable for your heeler to be faster. Things like that to keep it more simple.
Right. Knowing like what questions to ask that you really want to apply to your roping, where it's instead of you end up doing things like where you want to tweak on your swing that is really hard to do. Like once you get to a certain level of heading or heeling, tweaking on your swing is hard, right? And there's
Yes,
certain
sir.
things that are really, really tough to do where you can take the little deals, like kind of those little details and try to add them
Sir.
into it.
Absolutely.
Carson, what about you? Does he make that run a lot with like Junior? Do they rope a lot together? Like, do you guys rope a lot together? Have you kind of been able to take it with the winners at like a winner?
Dude, Caleb
like this?
and I rope together.
No, well, like, does Caleb and Junior rope together?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
they practice a lot together, and then you guys practice together.
Right.
What's kind of the dynamics been over there? That you kind of pick up on as he goes about it.
Right, Junior, he'll come over there and they'll practice, and I mean, you watch them, and on stats, and everybody, they're the best team in the world as of last year, and to watch them practice and stuff, they make the same run over and over again, and it's just consistent. So when we're practicing, it's kind of it's competitive. When we're both practicing, everybody's trying to make good runs and stuff. And so when you watch them and then you get in there and rope, you're trying to make, our run is different than them, but still make good runs over and over. Every day, make the same run. They don't ever change. So make the same run over and over again just to get consistency, muscle memory, understand what he's going to do with the steer in different situations. Put yourself in different situations. I call it Reno. Got to be 4-8 to win somewhere. Go to Cody. What will you do there? And 2 headers, 3 headers, and then you end up putting yourself in that situation to make the same run, just different scenarios or different setups, and just to watch them be able to do that, and then that's what we'll work on, and to see like the results and stuff and see how it's going. That's cool to compare it with them.
Right. You get to stack your run up against the best guys,
Right.
and arguably the best team in the world.
Right.
And then that way you get to know like, hey, we how to find your run and still
Right.
keep the times the same, and know that things are going to look different and kind of be different, but how do you try to build a winning run on that? And I think that's the one thing about roping that's so hard to find is what you guys do, like what your run is and how it can win. And then really getting to where that's what you do. That's who you are.
Right.
And it can be tried and true, and you can get in all the different situations and still stay within what you need to do, and it'll hold up. The one question that I've we've got to talk about it before the podcast, but these get into a lot of rodeos, right? And
Right.
obviously you guys had a couple of good rodeo stories in there.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this trip from, was it Red Lodge to
It was Cody to Mandan.
Cody to Mandan? I
Yep.
always confuse those. So, all right, obviously the 4th of July, I'll kind of set this up. They call them, I think the gateway rodeos is like Cody, Red Lodge, Livingston, and they're all really close to each other. And then you can go up to the Dakotas, and like Mandan, Mobridge, Killdeer, Belfouche have become really good rodeos
Right.
over the last probably 5-6 years. And a lot of guys have started working those in. And some guys, instead of like going to St. Paul, they'll just go to the Dakotas, or they'll do all of them. But what it usually means is there's a ton of teams entering, and it's really hard to get your preferences at all 6 or 7 of these rodeos.
Right.
So you guys are going to be up at a slack that morning at Cody
Right.
at 10 a.m., which Cody's probably one of the best one-headers of the whole year. So you got to go to that one.
Right.
And then you're going over to Mandan that night, losing an hour. Slack starts at 7, whatever, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. So what's the drive over there like?
So we went at Cody. It started at like 11, I believe, and then we were in an afternoon slack or even an evening slack at Mandan. So we're sitting there and we're like, man, there's no way you guys will make it. We're like, yeah, we got a rental car. We got horses already over there. We have someone here to take care of these horses. So as soon as we rope, we gave our horses to that lady, and then took off took off in the rental car, and he's driving. I'm in the passenger seat. I still have the same rope. Everybody's still dressed. I mean, as soon as we got out of the arena, we got in the car and took off. And it says, we're the first team out, and it says we're going to get there like, I'd say, it was like 45 minutes to an hour behind. But they're like, we can make it. We can do it. So we take off across there.
So you got 6 hours, basically a 6-hour drive to make up 45 minutes time too, right?
Right.
Like how it's looking on the GPS.
Yes, exactly.
And then probably got to stop at least one time to fill up, or you got enough?
I think we filled up. We had our radar detector set up. I mean, we had everything perfect. We're like, as soon as we get in, we're out of here.
Yeah.
So I don't think we didn't stop to fill up, did we?
We stopped right before we got to me.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got you know that you got 45 minutes to make up, and you're going to have to throw a little gas in to get all the way there. So
right.
that does like factor in the driving. So you've got probably an hour to make up in 6 hours time.
So we're driving pretty fast. He's driving pretty fast across there, and we're going, and our radar detector hasn't went off or nothing. So we're driving, and we go into this construction zone, and there's a car in front of us. So we slow down. We're going the speed limit now. And when we come out of the construction zone, there's like 6 cops set up over here in the median on the interstate. And Kellan goes around. I'm like, hey, there's some cops up there. And so we go around this car, and pretty soon when we pass them, a bunch of the cop cars, they wheel out. One goes in front of us. Well, the one out of the median pulls right in front of us. This one comes up beside us, and they push us off the road. And then we're like, what the hell is happening? And Kellan finally stops, and they stop. I throw my door open once we're stopped, and they pull their guns, and there's pointed guns at us. And keep in mind, this is right during the police brutality. I mean,
2002, right? So there's COVID's kind of hit.
Yes.
We've got riots and
everywhere.
Defund the police and all kinds of
this
stuff. Yeah.
So I throw my rope. It's on my lap. I throw it across. I'm hanging out the window at this cop. He's right here. Like, I could probably touch him, yelling, don't shoot, don't shoot, don't shoot. And we're stopped. And they're like, get out of the car, get out of the car. Well, they said, keep your hands up, keep your hands up. And then they're like, get out of the car. So I have my hands up, turn around, and they come and grab me, handcuff me, and push me up against the cop car. And I'm like, what is happening? What do we do? And then he's like, we'll talk about that later. You got any weapons? I'm like, no. And then they come, and same thing. They have Kellan in the car, and they're like, throw the keys out the window.
You're driving, right?
He's driving,
I was driving there.
Okay.
So they're yelling at him to get the keys out of the car, turn off the car, throw him out of the car. And so he throws him out, and they're like, all right, roll down your window. And they're like, pretty soon now they're screaming, roll down your window. And he screams back. He's like, I can't. The car's not on no more.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're terrified now. So he finally gets the keys out of the car. Yeah, no, so they're like, okay, open the door. So he steps out, and they make him walk backwards with his hands up. And then when they said, get on your knees, get down, he just laid flat. He laid flat. So he's flat on. They're like, no, get on your knees, cross your legs and stuff. So they handcuff him, and they're like, oh yeah, you're going to jail. And they didn't even know we were a buddy team with Blake Teixeira and my cousin Jaron. They didn't even realize they were in the back seat. So they're like, is anything else in the vehicle? We're like, yeah, there's 2 more guys in there.
You literally forgot about the other 2 guys.
Yeah, and when that shit broke loose, I mean, guns were back being pulled. They're like, they're yelling at them. They're like, get out of the car, get out of the car. And at the time, we didn't know Blake Teixeira real good. This was like second or third rodeo with him. And he's from California and stuff. So we're like, we don't, I mean, he might have something with him. Like, I don't know him super well. So they get them out of the car, same thing. And Blake, he's a big old fella and stuff. And he's like, shoot, I've been getting flex tested in the backseat of this car forever. I can't get down on my knees and stuff. So
he's stiff for being
he's stiff. Yeah. So they get him handcuffed and stuff, and we're like, what is happening? And then they were like, well, this cop behind you, he's been following you for the last 20 miles with his siren on, which I didn't see a siren.
He was never next to us.
Yeah.
We got allegedly he wasn't there.
I promise you he wasn't there. He wasn't there strictly due to the fact that I would have seen him. Because I'm like, when we leave, I tend to like we're gonna be going fast enough. NASCAR racers don't drive with one hand, so.
I mean, you got time to make up. And like, we're just crunching these numbers here. Like, if he's followed you for 20 miles and you're making up time, well, roughly you need to make up about 60 miles in 6 hours. So you're probably, every time you can hit 100, you're doing 10 to 15 over at all times, right? Like, so if the speed limit is 75, you're probably, which means you're maneuvering at this point. You're whipping in and out of traffic.
But then he tells us all this, and then they come up to me. Well, they're mad, and I mean, there's some officers there with one's got khaki shorts on. He said he was fishing, and they got this call that there's a white Subaru cruising down the highway. Yeah. And it was a rental car, so it had Florida plates on it.
Okay.
And so he's like,
Florida, thinking it's
well, the drugs have been bad going up and down there. So this guy, he comes and gropes me down, and he's like, man, you got any knives? I said, I got a knife. I said, but my hands are handcuffed. I said, you're gonna have to reach there and get it. He said, what about your wallet? And I said, man, these are starched jeans. Like, you're going to have to, you're going to have to jimmy this out. You know what I mean? So be careful what you're doing. So he reaches in there and gets all my stuff out. And he goes, man, we're going to take you to jail. And so, like, to do the math for it, we went from Cody, Wyoming to we are 3 hours away from Mandan. And we're going to make it to the rodeo 30 minutes on time.
30 minutes? Like 30 minutes
we're going to be there. We're going to be there. No, actually 10 minutes before.
Yeah, we've made
10 minutes before the rodeo.
Time, so
in the first 3 hours.
Yeah.
You're on time in the first 3 hours.
It was
some driving right there.
Dude, I'm telling you, we're booking it. Like, we're going to make it. Yeah. Like, all of a sudden, everybody starts sleeping. Like, we're good. Like, we're going to make this rodeo, no big deal. Don't worry about it.
Everyone's napping.
Yeah. And they got bulldoggers they got bulldoggers right for us. So I'm like, dude, we're going to get there. I mean, it's going to be easy. We're good. We're good. Well, then the cop's like, we're going to send you to jail. Well, I start panicking because I'm like, man, I don't want to go to jail,
4th of July.
Yeah.
Got some rodeo
I got a rope, but you know what I mean? So I tell them, I said, well, can these guys get back on the road? I said, if you guys want to lock me up, at least let these guys go. I said, Carson can get a calf rope or somebody.
Yeah.
Well, then, what was his name? I think it was Jace Melvin drove by in his semi, and he called my phone, and they had it laid out right there. And I said, answer that. So they answer it, and they say, hey, we can give these guys a ride if they need a ride. Like, if you're going to jail, I mean, we'll give these guys a ride. So I'm like, all right, sounds good. I said, yeah, probably give them a ride. And I said, so when I panic, I say my first thing to think of is my mom. And so I'm like, hey, can I call my mom? To get her out of the, when you go to the principal's office, you're like, I want to talk to my mom, like get me out of trouble. So they're like, well, we need to run some stuff. Well, the cop, he starts like getting in my face about what I was doing. And I'm like, you were not following me for 20 miles. I said, first off, we were never speeding. And so
you said that.
Yeah. I said, we were never speeding. I said, now we might have been going 10 miles over. I said, but we weren't.
Allegedly. Allegedly, I wasn't speeding.
I said, but I'm not doing nothing wrong for what you guys have seen.
Yeah.
And they're like, man, we actually got called in for reckless driving. And I said, absolutely. I said, I agree with that. I said, but you didn't catch me. I said, was I reckless driving or something? So we go through this deal. Well, they take the handcuffs off and say, get back in your car. And I'm like, all right. So we get in the car. Officers run my deal, bring it back. And every officer that was there shook our hands, said, we love that you're rodeo cowboys. There's another cop. There's more cops up ahead that we're going to set out a roadblock. You guys, speeding is not worth speed. I know you guys got to make this rodeo. They thought we were drug dealers from Florida.
Yeah, and it was like a high speed
chase.
Yeah,
so they were going to roll out to pop tires. So they're like,
you guys were within miles of getting your tires popped.
Yeah, it was. Shot. I mean, I honestly thought I was going to get shot.
They told us at the end that they said we planned on shooting one of you. And we're like, well, I appreciate you not shooting us. Like, hey, we love rodeo cowboys. We love rodeo. Don't do nothing stupid, but we understand. Dude, I'm not kidding you. They give me a ticket. I look at the ticket. It's $75 ticket. Give me my deal back. We shake all their hands. Dude, I said, so what happened? They said, we've called off all of it. Dude, I get back on the road. We're speeding. Drive by. All the cops we're going. No one ever needs to know. Cruise right by, wave at them. They wave back. Dude, we cruise all the way there. We get there. We're the first team out, and we got 30 minutes to spare.
Yeah, we still after.
And we got pulled over and thrown on the ground and everything. We had time to boot up, warm up, and sit and see what steer we
Yeah, got to see the draw. Like, this is just pretty normal rodeo. Got to show up.
Once we got so now we're back in the car, and so now we're back behind schedule. But they called off all the cops and everything, and Blake, I remember when they had him in the car and they're questioning him, like, what are you guys doing? Blake's over there talking to the cops. He's explaining about rodeo. We don't get to pick when you're up. They draw us, so that's why we're doing this. And
he's wanting them to call Procom and be like, this is what.
Yeah, this is ridiculous that you do this to these guys.
Exactly. And he's like, this is how we feed our families, and this is how we make a living and stuff. And they're like, oh, that's horrible. That's horrible. Okay, well, you guys sit in the car and stuff. And so we're in the car, and then here he comes, and all the cops. Then they were super cool about it and everything. And no, but it was wild. Yeah, it was definitely an adrenaline rush.
Okay, so at what point are you like, oh shit, this guy's pointing a gun at me? Because I think that's the thing is you get pulled over, and like, you obviously know when it's going on. They're pretty much blocking you into the side of the road. Like, hey man, this is a little more serious than I think. But when they pull a gun out, what goes through your head?
Oh my, so many things. Like, I was looking down the barrel, and I'm like, this guy's gonna shoot me in the leg or something, and this is gonna hurt so bad.
Yeah.
So I put my hands up.
Hurt so bad, he says.
So I'm
this
yelling,
is gonna be a bitch.
Yeah. I'm yelling at him, don't shoot. They shut down the whole interstate. I mean,
for the shootout, basically.
Yeah. I'm just like, I'm gonna get shot. I never thought I'd get shot, but I'm about to get shot. Real deal right here. But no, I never want to have a gun pointed at me again. It was
wild.
Yeah, I had to change your pants and stuff. I mean, it was.
Well, I mean,
it was bad.
Doesn't the adrenaline at that point just start going? Like, are you like, you guys like? Is it going to the point where you like can't like? I'm going to be shaking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the adrenaline's going so fast. Like I'm going to have a hard time like getting.
It wasn't too bad. Like, what scared me the most is when they started yelling, because there's 6 of them yelling and they can't hear us what we're saying back.
6 guys yelling with guns.
Yeah. And Carson's talking to him, and I'm thinking Carson just threw himself out like a dummy doll, dude. Just like threw his arms out and was just like,
I opened the door and I want out of here. I'm
like,
I'm not running, but I want to let you know that we're good guys. Like, we're not trying to.
We're not your average drug dealer.
Yeah.
Like, we got Wrangler and stuff on. You know what I mean? We're just like,
you're submitting.
Yeah,
like,
we probably stood out from the normal drug dealers. What I think.
Right. Man. Okay, and then you get to the rodeo. Do you guys have time to calm down at that point, or is it like,
dude? No one knew yet, and so we saw Jake Cooper and Driggers. And those were the first 2 people I told. I'm like, you're not going to believe what just happened to me. Told them, and I didn't even know what to think. I was just like, man, I'm just so glad we get to run this steer. Like, I don't care if we fall off in the mud. Like, it's no big deal. I'm glad we didn't get arrested or shot.
Yeah, they were.
Did you guys do good at that one?
No, I roped a leg.
You roped a leg for 3rd?
Yeah. Gosh, dang it.
It would have capitalized the whole story if we go over there, win 3rd, win $4,000 and be like, no cops could stop us.
There was like 2 or 3 teams that didn't try it. We were the only team that did try to go over there from Cody. But yeah, I messed that up.
Man, that one is wild right there. What's the best like breakdown story you guys have? Like, as far as, the thing about it is you get out there traveling a lot, and the rigs don't make it all the time. You know what I mean? And you get late, and obviously that's probably an all-time one, when you get pulled over and still get to make it, because I've never heard of that, going from you're 3 hours out and you got a gun pointed at you. Yeah. You're probably not running that steer tonight. Like, you're obviously, you're willing to commit, Kellan. You're like, hey, you guys just make it. Just take me.
This ain't gonna work.
I like that, because if it works, you probably be like, man, I went to jail for you guys. You're driving.
Yeah, you can drive the rest of the Ford.
Yeah,
no, when you get me in Monday.
Summertime,
yeah,
you've got this. Like every bad drive, I'm like, hey, you remember that time I went to jail? Yeah, you got this.
You guys can drive these miles.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go back to the actual competing and rodeoing and what that's like. As things kind of get up and down, there's big swings rodeoing, right? What about that? Like, as a team, do you think it helps where you guys are so close that you can kind of help keep the team's morale, keep confidence high? Do you think that's something that really helps you guys?
Yeah, I do. I feel like we have a great understanding of like how he ropes and how I rope, and like, so we have an understanding of what could happen at all times, like what could be going wrong for him to be, if he said, man, I've missed 3 steers in a row or lost my rope or something, just little things where it's like, man, this is what I could do different. And I feel like it helps us down the road, especially because like the only conversations that we have in the truck are only between me and him.
Right.
Like those are conversations no one will ever hear or have an understanding, or just the time that has been spent when we were even 8 years old. So when guys rope with other people that are not family, just partners, normal people, normal partnerships, hey, they weren't there when they were trying to learn to heel or learn to head, or when their dad was mad at them because he wasn't getting it, because your grades weren't good enough and you couldn't rope that day, or you had to do chores instead of rope, and it's things like that you get an understanding of how hard that he has worked, and to have respect for it. You know what I'm saying? Like just having the respect of just because you haven't won a gold buckle or haven't made national finals, or because you haven't been top 30 in the world, I can't label Carson. I can't be like, well, I've seen him rope. He ropes pretty good. I just don't know. I know how good he is, and I know how hard he's tried at it. So when I give him a chance, we have a realistic thing of, if he wasn't good enough or if I wasn't good enough, we'd go get different partners. Be like, hey, I don't think I can make the finals with you. We need to go do something different. But I feel like the relationship we have makes it to where it goes, I know you're working just as hard as me. And honestly, what helps is almost making the finals last year. And it's not like it's almost, people say, dude, you got to be 16th, 17th. What I'm saying is we were 14th with 2 weeks left.
Right.
You know what I mean? And because of my mistakes, drop us down to 20th. But we both understand each other's point of views on our roping style, the run we'd like to make, the horses I buy, the horses he buys. So when, that's what makes our partnership even cooler, is if Paul Eves goes tries a heel horse, he's not going to ask Lovell, hey, what do you think? Colby Lovell, what do you think? Do you think this horse is a horse we can win the world on? Me and him, we look at it and go, hey, do you think this helps? Do you think this horse helps our team? Do you think this fits my style? That's kind of what I think's different, I guess, from a partnership, normal partnership.
And then I'd like you guys both, obviously, Kellan, I'll have you go first on this one, but there's times in our lives where it goes wrong, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a hard moment. And like going from that 14th to 20th in the last couple of weeks, has that been one of the hardest moments in your roping career? Like as far as like it's so close and then it's so disappointing at the end of it. Is that probably the hardest moment?
Absolutely. I feel like, well, yeah, my roping career probably being on the outs. I don't know how to say this without it sounding bad, but I've never not finished the job. If I had a chance with Trey, when I had a chance to win college finals, I won the college finals. When me and Carson had a chance to win college finals, I won the college finals. When me and him had a chance in high school or the circuit finals, my first year, making the circuit finals, I win the circuit finals. Like I've never not finished.
Yeah, you're a winner, right?
Yeah. And so when I failed last year, I think it was great for me too, because it's not just easy anymore. It's not, because like I said, you're 18. The reason I say high school, college, whatever, high school is an age group. College is an age group. Professional rodeo is from 18 to however old you want to be.
Yeah.
And so you're going against guys that have 20, 25 years on you going, I've been to these rodeos. I know where to stay. I know what steers they're going to bring. I could call this guy. He can give me a rundown. I know the barrier. I know how the arena ropes, everything. And so the big thing is I feel like it was extremely hard on me. And I think it backlashed. I think it pulled me back a little bit because it took a lot of the, man, I thought I was going to do it.
Yeah.
You know, so when I stepped back from that, man, I can't tell you how excited I was to be home. Like, the best thing for me was I got to go home. And me and my dad have talked about it a lot. And the worst thing that could so that's my worst rodeo experience, is not making the national finals at 23 years old. And I didn't make the national finals. I went from 14th to 20th in 2 weeks. This sucks. I mean, the worst thing that had happened to me is I went home with money in my bank account to my house with my family, and I got to go back and rope tomorrow. You know, so it really bothered me for 3 days. For 3 days, I had a really hard time talking to anybody and kind of having an understanding of like what just happened.
Yeah.
But after them 3 days, we started shipping calves. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like I got time to go, oh man, dude, so we're going to rope for 3 months to get ready to go to Odessa. No, we were shipping calves. So I was shipping calves in the snow and in the cold, and it's like, guess we'll try it Odessa.
Right. So what's your biggest takeaway from that, though, as, you know, like when you have something that goes not your way and you try to add that to a block with your game, like a something that's really solid in your foundation, and build that in a positive way? What's been the thing that's helped you and it's ended up being positive out of that experience?
Man, the most positive thing I took from last year is that it's there. I can take it. I can do it. That I need to, man, I needed to focus on my life a little bit. Like, I didn't really notice it at the time when I was rodeoing, because it was like, I'm having such a good time. I mean, this is a blast. I mean, we're almost going to make the national finals. I cannot wait to see what size jacket I got. I mean, so many thoughts go through your head when you're young and you're just like, dude, what is it going to be, man? What's it going to be like? And my life got off track. I started losing focus on calling home, you know, talking to my friends, getting people's input. And so what I think I took most positive about this is I can't change. My personality can't change, and my outlook on life cannot change just because of rodeo. Because rodeo is such a gruesome sport. You know, Caleb Driggers wins the world this year, and a month later we're wondering who won Denver.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, rodeo don't care. They don't write that like they do they don't keep on track. You know what I'm saying? So what I had to take positive from that is I cannot let rodeo dictate who I am to my friends, to my horses, to my family, to my own personal health. I mean, I had to focus on, hey dude, just you rope for a living. So what do you want to do? I want to make money. I want to be able to pay my bills. If I want to go buy a head horse, I want to be able to have the money to have that, because I've been winning in rodeo. If you're winning in rodeo, probably make the national finals. And it's just, if you can just kind of keep it to an understanding of why you did it when you were growing up. You know, I lost track of having fun there for a while. I was pretty upset about it.
Yeah, it's hard because it's such, you know, you're drawing everything out of yourself that you can, and you're trying to create it, and you're putting a lot of pressure on there. And then I think that understanding that is really important, right? Is you get I still need to be I still want to be a good person. I still want to like have these relationships. I still want to keep growing and have all of that dynamic, and not just be like real singular with you're just heading steers, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's what can be missed is as you go and you travel, you meet a lot of people, you get a lot of really cool relationships, and you get a lot of opportunities, like, you know, going 100 down allegedly
Yeah.
going 100 down the road to the next rodeo and getting a gun pulled on you by a cop, And
those aren't stories you get to know because you're over there doing classes in college.
Yeah. So Carson, what about you? Obviously being really close. Was that one of the harder moments in your roping career?
Yeah, it was hard. It was hard to set out for a goal to do and getting down to the last month, and you're like, man, this can really happen. My dream that I've wanted for can actually happen. All I got to do is finish the deal and it not turn out the way you want it. And just some things didn't go different. Well, things you wanted to go different that didn't. Yeah, it was hard. It was hard to swallow, but you come back and what I realized, Caleb Driggers, he's won the world, and then he's back to practicing just like he didn't. He's back to working at it. So when we got back, we got home, shipped some calves, took a little time off, and then we were back to roping, back to working at stuff. And so, yeah, I think it was might be a blessing in disguise because it shows you can work hard at it, but you gotta finish the deal. You got to rope good all year. What if you would have done something different at Odessa? They give you a better chance, or Denver, something early. If you would have caught at Cody or Mandan, like I said, to see where you'd end up. So it's an eye opener to realize every steer matters. So you can't take no days off. Everybody out there's working just as hard as you, so you got to work harder. When it's cold at home and everything, it's worth getting up and going to rope, or if you're a little sore, roping the dummy. I mean, Vegas, I'm sure Vegas is worth it, and it was good for us to realize they don't hand it out to anybody. If you're there, you deserve to be there. You rope better than 16 other guys that year if you're in Vegas. So I think it comes down to, like, for the eye opener was just they don't give it to you because they think you deserve it. You got to go out there and earn it. So that was our goal this year. Come here and rope every steer the way we want to, and you can't. It's not really you can't really rope to make the finals. I don't think you can just rope good all year.
Yeah.
And take care of every rodeo. Try to do the best you can at that rodeo, and then it all end up. They'll tell you if you make it or not. I'm saying if it gets down to it and you need to win third or better at this rodeo, then you can kind of change your outlook at it. But when it's this early in the year, you can't back in there and be like, okay, well, I'm going to be 4 flat here because I want to set myself up to win this round. You got to just beat that steer that day, and they'll tell you how much you want at that rodeo, your time. So it's just beating the steer more than yourself, and just day in and day out, rope steers, rope good, keep roping good, keep working at it, and then the chips will fall where they will.
I like that. And the other thing you get to really define is, after it's tough and it's been hard on you guys, if you're still getting back after it, you kind of know you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
Like, you're doing what you love. Mm-hmm. Because if it cannot go your way and you work that hard and put that much into it, but you still want to keep doing it, then like, hey, I am doing what is in my heart to do.
Right.
And I think that a lot of people miss that and don't even take that chance.
Right.
And I think that's probably the one of the coolest things, right? Is you guys got to experience that, and then probably by not finishing the way you wanted, but still staying with it, shows you, hey, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, right?
Yeah. No, we're all in again. We're going to rodeo all year, hard as we can to get ourselves the best chance to make the finals this year, and that's what we want, is to give ourselves the best chance. And it was good to have a little success to show, yeah, you guys can do it. You just gotta, just like I said, do our job every day.
Right.
Every day, wake up, if it's Cody, Ellensburg, Casper, no matter where it's at, do your job that day on that steer and just keep moving forward. Keep going. It might not be going the way you want. It might be going perfect. You just got to keep going, doing your job, and it'll all work out.
Right. Well, guys, I appreciate it. It's been fun. You want to add anything? We got any more stories we want to tell?
Man, not for this podcast.
Yeah.
Maybe a different. We'll start a different podcast.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
No, rodeo's fun.
I like it. Well, thanks again. I really appreciate it, guys.
Absolutely.